Hello and welcome to another edition of Mailbag. What is Mailbag? Well, Mailbag is a feature of the channel where you guys leave lots of comments on the channel and I attempt to answer those comments, or if I can't answer those comments, I throw it out to you guys who have more knowledge on some of this stuff than I do. So let's get into the first mailbag of this session. Remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Go over to Instagram and follow me there. Go over to Facebook, follow me there. That's where the normal notices are. And consider becoming a Patreon. Next comment or question comes from Don Devore. And it's in response to the JX-10 to JX-8Ps, free manufacturers endorsements, mailbag I did in February 2023. And Don writes, one of the synths I regret selling was the Super JX-10. It was, as they say, an absolute beast. To carry into the studio and set up, it took a lot of effort. Most of our studio clients gravitated towards the Micromood or the Roland XP50 compared to the cryptographic interface and dated sounding patches of the JX-10. The Korg Trinity, the Korg Triton, the Yamaha Motif were commonly used by bands that I was recording with at the time. Analog polysynths were out of fashion in the late 90s and early 2000s compared to the fancy new Rocklers and samplers. I think I got $300 for it in 2004. Shame did I realise I would need one in 2023. I'm now using the Phantom JX-8P model on everything right now. Hindsight is a wonderful thing. It's a thing of pure beauty to be able to say, in hindsight, I did the right thing. It's also not so wonderful to say, in hindsight, I did the wrong thing. Yeah, I sure regret not selling off some of my pieces, but reasons were far more related to the fact that I didn't get on with it as opposed to the need to upgrade and have a must-have device in the studio for client use. In fact, I've got a friend who runs a studio just outside London, and he has a storage unit full of old synths, most of which I do not like. Modules and effects that were in the facility at some point, and he keeps telling me that he's going to sell the lot, and then then along comes an artist and they put on their requirements list one of these things, and he can go and get it out of storage, power it up, and can charge a premium for the rental of the particular piece of equipment when the artist is doing their tracking. He's also borrowed on numerous occasions my M1. The plug-out VST model of the Phantom does fill the gap, and it allows you to reproduce the tones of the original JX-8P, and many have reported the Phantom reproduction is pretty damn good, and I use that phraseology because that's what people have said. It is pretty damn good when it's been described. Now, sorry to say, I still haven't managed to get to a Phantom dealer and actually play with the Phantom or the O. So I'm still going on a lot of what you guys tell me as opposed to personal experience on the Phantom. Next comment or question comes from the Death Beats, and it's in response to MX-1 mastering kick and snare, hoping for an MX-2. A mailbag I did in March 2023. And the Death Beats writes, I also doubt whether Roland are going to come up with an MX-2. I think it's inevitable they will eventually release a new mixed console that is focused on supporting multiple USB devices, but because of how much the landscape has changed since the original ARIA concept and machines were released, I think whatever comes next is almost likely to be a computer rethink. What I will say is that if they do release such a mixer, I hope it will focus on being suitable for producers as opposed to DJs, which is how they marketed the MX-1. What I mean by this is that Roland intended for their mixers to be used by DJs who wanted to sync ARIA and boutique modules to their own DJ sets. In reality, 99% of DJs just want to play tunes and will not bother with drum machines and synthesizer. This was a classic Roland misjudgment, and as a result, anyone who wanted to use the MX-1 for production soon discovered how limiting it actually was and how frustrating it was too. Whatever they come up with next, it needs to be built with compressors, EQ, saturators and effects for each channel, as well as the ability to create group channels with effects, and of course it needs to be able to save mix downs digitally. Cheers, Gary. What do you say to that? Because he basically sums a lot of it up. But it's obvious from the comments and questions that I've received about the Roland MX-1 that the general population of artists, composers, producers and DJs, and everyone in between, did not understand what the MX-1 was actually all about when it was launched. Roland have made some surprising decisions when this unit was brought to market. I really do believe that. And I've never understood the whole DAW integration concept that Roland came up with. For me, it was never intuitive. In fact, it was awful. The fact that you can't apply the effects that were added to the channels to the stream that goes to your computer, as in signals were sent dry and unprocessed, I think is bonkers, because you might want to do that, but what you can't do is the mix you hear going out the mixer is not the mix you hear in the computer. That just sounds a bit bonkers to me, but that's what they did. The target being mobile DJs, but how many really make their beats on the fly using instruments opposed to spinning the platter? They probably don't spin the platter anymore, actually, if I'm brutally honest. I'm old enough to understand that concept. In fact, that's what I used to do when I used to DJ. We span the platter. Nowadays, you put a USB drive into your Pioneer CDJ, and the whole thing beat mats it for you. Where's the fun in that? For God's sake. Go back to the old ways of doing things where you had to spin it and you had to touch it and you had to give it a bit of encouragement to bring the beats into line, and you played around with the speed on the 1210. Anyway, I agree that a new device does need to be aimed at a different market, as the original was misaligned, and many composers, producers tried to use the platform, as you say, uncovered its massive failings. I think the other issue is Roland's decision around class compliance, meaning that you can't just plug any device into it. They have to be supported, or more correctly, more supported. So let's see what happens. Now, when I wrote this, there was an ARM show. I was wondering whether Roland might actually bring something out at NARM. Did they hell as like? They didn't bring anything out at NARM that's actually worth. In fact, actually, NARM 2023, as far as I was concerned, when I looked at all the videos and product lines that were brought out, it was a complete damn squid. You had the commentators, the people who flew out to NARM, going around NARM, falling over themselves over certain pieces of stuff. But really, to be honest, was there anything major there? Nah.